Leafs Talk, JD Bunkis and Jackie Redmond, who is filling in for Sammy, who went down to go watch the game tonight. And she's doing it not at 100%. What a trooper. Thanks for doing this, Jackie.
No, yeah, this is my sick game, my flu game. I don't have much of a voice, but every time you ask me to be on this show, something happens and I end up not doing the show. So I was like, I can't. I have to battle through this to prove that I am not the ultimate Baylor. But listen to me. I sound like I don't even know. Let me know in the comments what I sound like. But I know it's not good.
I would have never believed you. Even if you called me, I would have just thought this was a Meryl Streep-esque performance by you because, yeah, you're right. Like, you are the number one Baylor on the show, and sometimes for good reasons, sometimes because you forget, like, that you need to bring a laptop charger when you own a laptop to different destinations. But, yeah, you're here, and we thank you for it. And don't worry because love it or hate it, the number one comment on all of my shows is, does JD ever let the guest speak?
No, why would they say that to you? I don't know where that would come from.
Honestly, it's rude and unfounded. I don't believe in it at all. Okay, so I really thought tonight was just going to be pure positivity show.
Same.
Because everyone was looking at Nylander. He's in a slump, and I gave him a lot of praise on my show today because he said all the right things when Berube demoted him to the third line. He said something along the lines of, I love it. We needed to change things up. And Nylander goes out there and was brilliant tonight. Sets up a couple of goals, including one on a power play, which is also in a slump. Mark Savard going to sleep well tonight, finally, probably for the first time in 3 months. He's actually going to have a good snooze. Yeah, the lines look balanced. The young goaltender looked good. The power play scored. Nylander looked great. But yeah, a former Leaf scores, and a tradition like any other. I don't bet on that Leaf, even though I know this is going to happen every time. And the Leafs lose in overtime. Where do you want to start?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's unfortunate for me that Hildeby, I guess, as you guys are calling him in Toronto, didn't get a dub tonight. He deserved a W tonight. He was the story of the game for me. I know the third line did a lot. Third liner, William Nylander, had everyone talking on Twitter. But for me, like, without the goaltending performance for Hildeby, I don't know that this game is as close. Not that the Leafs got outplayed or anything. I don't think that they did. But he made some really big, timely saves for the Leafs. So I think that he was, for me, their MVP tonight. And I just hope that he can keep doing it, because I have no idea what they do if Hildeby can't play. So for me, he was the star of the game. So I don't even care that they scored on the power. I mean, I care that they scored on the power play, but it's not it's not taking numero uno from Hildeby for me.
Yeah, listen, he made a couple of beautiful 10-bellers. There's this weird thing that's happening with the Leafs right now, which is they're kind of getting a little bit outplayed in the first period, and it feels like they need their goaltender to make a couple of saves. And they go, make a couple saves, and then if you play good, we'll really try. And the goalies have been doing that, whether it's been Woll or Hildeby now. They've come up with some big saves early on, let the Leafs settle in and find their game. I thought the Leafs were brilliant and dominant in the second period tonight. In fact, if there's like any story for me, it's that Toronto should have probably run up the score there, and that Nedeljkovic played well as a counterpart to Hildeby. But man, I feel like this kid is answering the question of what happens if you put a sumo wrestler in net, because he's huge. And the way he just completely eliminates the bottom of the net, I think, is really frustrating teams. And Orlov scores that one goal where Hildeby probably wants to have it back. He's down in his crouch a little bit too early, gives up a little bit too much space, and Orlov picks it on him. Nice goal. I don't think a brutal goal for Hildeby by any stretch of the imagination, but again, one that he'd probably say, I can stop that one. But as of right now, before the book is out and maybe teams start to game plan for him differently, it feels like you cannot score low on this kid. Like, he puts those pads down and he uses that big body to frame up on teams, and there's just not a lot to look at when you get in tight.
And I like too, like, the way his body language and the way that he is in high pressure moments as well, right? Like, I know that the Leafs lose this game, but he had to face a penalty shot. He had that crazy, like, I don't even know what it was behind the back. Like, how did he even know the puck, where the puck was? I guess he just kind of guessed and was like, well, let me just see if I can grab it. He just doesn't ever really look like phased. Like he doesn't look overwhelmed. Even when, I mean, God, it was horrendous when he was handling the puck. I think that was in the second period. Like that was not good.
That was overconfident.
But again, not phased, not like freaking out or panicking. He seems to me like a guy that can handle like big moments, which for the Leafs is good.
So on the last show, I told McKee that he reminds me of Mike Smith. And then after the show, I told him, you know, I didn't want to say who he really reminds me of because it sounds way too blasphemous. And I get it. Like, he reminds me of Vasilevsky. Like, and I'm not saying that he's going to be Vasilevsky, okay? Like, I know that there's people listening to this that are just doing the, like, they're so mad that I even said that they haven't even typed mean things in the YouTube chat. They're already
typing the tweet. JD Bunkis says Hildeby will be the next Andre Vasilevsky.
Yeah, but that's just like, he's got that little bit of flow out of his mask. They're very similar size and stature. They both kind of play similarly. They're both huge, but also freaky athletic. He just kind of looks like him to me. Like he reminds me.
Do you run Hildeby into the ground until Wall's available? So what's your take on that? Because they've had two goalies that they've probably overplayed to the point that they re-injure themselves.
Well, they've got the two goalies who got hurt, but also this is just the thing with injury-prone players is it's like they're not playing and people are like, where are they? Why aren't they playing? They're always hurt all the time. And then they get on the ice and they're like, don't play them. They're going to get hurt if you play them. It's a can't win situation. So do I think that they'll ever play Woll 8 of 9 again this season? Probably not. Now that they have this kid, my guess would be that they turn it more into a timeshare. They split it, especially if Hildeby plays this way. What I would say is I don't think the Leafs or really most teams want to give a goaltender that kind of a workload. And the luxury of having 3 guys right now, which is what it appears they have in Dennis Hildeby, which is a legitimate third guy. This is another game where he performed well. He made those 2 saves that he made tonight, the cross crease save, it was on, I got it down in my notes who they made him on. But those are brilliant. Like 2 just unbelievable saves where, again, he's just completely taken away the bottom of the net. He's big. He's athletic. He works the pads beautifully. Like even when teams are shooting low on him, he does a great job with rebound control in terms of kicking those pucks into low danger areas. I love the way that he covers the bottom of the net. Again, the question mark for me is going to be, okay, do teams start to learn, don't shoot low on this guy, start to shoot high, and does that become a problem? That's kind of going to be, I think, the next phase is once teams have a little bit more of a book, does this say sustainable? But I like you mentioned about the body language, like I'm saying about the athleticism, like I'm saying about the size, there's just a lot to like here about the guy. And yeah, I think he deserved better tonight, even though, as we both mentioned, the Leafs were the better team, and they certainly outplayed San Jose in the second period. Okay, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, like, to your point about the second period, like, I'm watching, I'm thinking to myself, like, Celebrini, like, I was so excited to watch Celebrini front to back in a game tonight. And, like, obviously, he's an incredible player. I've seen the highlights. I watched some of his games. But in this game, there were stretches where I went, where is he? This guy's not doing anything. He has him and Will Smith. They went long stretches without being super dangerous, I guess is my point. And I think that's an accomplishment in and of itself when it comes to someone like Celebrini, who's dominating highlight reels and headlines and conversation about this youth movement of stars in the NHL. So that's a plus too.
Well, I would say that if you're going to give credit there, a lot of that goes to Austin Matthews, who was like pretty much hardline matched against him the entire night and did an incredible job of slowing him down. And I think that Matthews is starting to look a little healthier. His defensive game is obviously something that is highly commendable on most nights. But I did wonder if a game like Celebrini, where he comes in and it's the young Canadian star and the guy that people are going, hey, he's the new Matthews. Look at his amount of points in the first 100 games compared to Matthews. Look, he's only 10 goals behind Matthews was at this time of his career.
All the comps.
Look, he rips a ton of goals. He's so exciting. He's only 19 years old. And this reminds you of a young Austin Matthews, that Matthews put it on himself tonight to say, you know what, screw this kid. I'm going to shut him down. And that's kind of the attitude I'm looking for Matthews. And quickly, as an aside to that, I will say this is a minor note for me that I was going to save for later in the rapid fire, but I'll say it now because we're talking about that line and the job they did against Celebrini tonight. Domi looks a lot better lately. He's playing with more jump. He's winning more puck battles. He's making better decisions. He's finding Austin Matthews a lot. And all of a sudden, that line, even though I didn't think that there were large stretches of them looking overly dangerous tonight, that overall they look like a more cohesive line. And I do think that they found something there that they're going to give some runway to.
Well, they just seemed engaged. He seemed more engaged. Like, he just seemed more in it, like in the fight, if that makes sense. And sometimes I feel like he is the type of player that emotionally needs to feel like he is in the mix, if that makes sense. And I think that you're starting to see that in the kind of jump that he has in his game and the confidence that with some of the decisions that he's making when he's out there. There's not a lot of like hesitancy, if you will.
Yeah, he was great. And again, Matthews is the guy that scores on the power play. So I guess I'll go there now.
I know we have a power play goal.
Unbelievable, like truly unbelievable. And I'll say this: I think they were only 1 for 3 tonight. They were 1 for 3. There were 3 power plays.
1 for something.
Fuck. Yeah, they were 1 for something. Yes. But also, 2 things about it. One was the process looked materially different than recent memory would serve. Most of the time, the first line goes out there, or the first power play unit goes out there, and it is stagnant. And guys are just doing exactly actually what we're showing at the very beginning of this power play, where it's like, hey, pass it along up the top. That's all we're doing here. And you know what we end up seeing? An actual cross seam pass, a seam pass from Nylander to Matthews on a back door where he scores a tap in. And yeah, there haven't been very many. I think that's only the 11th power play goal the entire season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, it's December 11th, 12th.
11th.
Yeah, it's the 11th today, and this is the 11th Maple Leafs power play goal of the season. But how many of them have come like this, where it's just like easy, nice, beautiful pass, get it to your best shooter, and let him finish one in the back of the net? So good for them for making it happen. But also, like I said, I liked the jump. I liked the energy that the first power play gave them. I think that's kind of what you want when you don't score on a power play is, hey, at least build some momentum, at least build something that you feel like is going to generate some positivity moving forward. And the fact that they actually did that gave me confidence that they were going to get one tonight when they got another opportunity, and they did.
Yeah, coaches talk. I mean, I don't know how you leave 34 that. I know they're on the penalty kill, but leaving him that open is a little sus. But
they don't make that pass, Jackie. Like, if you're game planning for the Leafs,
maybe that's true.
That's what you're saying is like, hey, they never do this, so don't worry about
it. It's still Matthews, though. But I mean, you gotta defend Nylander as well. But I guess what I'll say too is we hear coaches talk all the time, right? Is like the power play is where your stars get confidence, even just within a game. They don't have to necessarily be, struggling in the games leading up. But that's the point in the game where they get their touches, they get a feel for the puck, and they can start to build some of their swagger with the puck. So you do like to see that even if they don't score on the power play. And it feels like tonight, at least, I don't know. I don't think that the Leafs looked more confident on the power play, but they looked less, I don't want to say like less bored, because I don't think they're bored out there. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but
flat.
A lot of times they're just kind of like
flat.
Going through the motions. They're just like doing the thing. But tonight they didn't do that. It looked like they were actually sort of engaging with what was in front of them. And that's why you see that pass to Austin Matthews, because they're playing where their feet are instead of just thinking about whatever it is that they've planned in practice.
I thought it was one of the most encouraging things from this entire game. And again, when you're in a slump like this, where you have 11 power play goals and you're one of the worst power plays in the league, you got to start somewhere. But at least moving forward, they can say like, okay, God, we got one. And
they need their power play. They need it
desperately.
So bad. Like everyone, my dad is one of these people. Like, oh, they're only a couple of points out. I'm like, Dad, the way this league works now, like they need to win a lot. Like they need to win a lot from here to the end of the season. And it's going to be tougher to do that the further into the season we get if their power play is not a threat. So they need it so desperately. And hopefully this is the start of them sort of building just a more powerful power play. Oh my God, that's terrible.
Well,
wording, but know what I'm saying.
Listen, I do get what you're saying. And what I would add to it is, if you look at the fancy stats, right? And the Leafs, even during the streak and during the stretch of better play, there's a lot to like. I had Myrtle on Wednesday this week, and he wrote a great article that's up on The Athletic that basically threw out there what the Leafs are doing better and what has improved for this team. And there's a bunch to like. But still, there are underlying numbers that talk about, like, you know, the expected goals for. And I'm not saying that this is gospel. I've watched some of these games and I go, the Leafs are the better of the teams in these, but they're not going to win some of those possession numbers. But even still, if you are going to be a lower event hockey team and you're not going to score a ton and you're going to play a little bit more defensively responsible and be opportunistic, well, the biggest opportunities in the game for you offensively are generally going to come when you're on the power play. So you got to be able to take advantage of those. And they've had multiple games recently where they had chances to put teams away, like Montreal, and they don't score on the power play. They let that hang and it bites them in the ass. And tonight you could even make the case, even though they got the one goal, that when they were dominating those other two power plays, if they score one of those, they're not in a position where Klingberg can flip one towards the net. The puck has eyes and you're only up a goal and the Sharks can tie it. So yeah, it's good, but you're right. But so is your dad. So is Steve. Steve is also right.
Steve-O.
Yeah. And listen, that's the Nylander though, is he makes that pass. And Nylander also makes the play that sets up the first goal that Dakota Joshua gets in this one, who, by the way, all of a sudden is just like rapidly turning into an actual guy. Nick Waugh, another solid game for him, but Nylander just looked completely engaged tonight. He was everywhere. He had the puck all night. He made a ton of great plays. It felt like guys.
Again, I'll say this, like Nylander too, and it's why, again, it's one of the reasons that I think fans love him, and he's never really been held to the fire as much for some of his flaws as other guys. Is because, like, when the going gets tough, Nylander gets going. Like, he actually just digs in and is like, all right, third line for me tonight. Let's effing go. I don't care. I'll be one of the best players tonight because of that, just to show that you can put me anywhere and I will drive a line. I will help produce. I will make a difference in this game. And that's what he did tonight. And I don't think that every star does that. I really don't. So I give him a lot of credit for that.
So do I. Like I said on my show today, I really love the way that he took accountability for the 4 games, because generally his MO is one of what's the big deal. And I actually don't mind that when it's just him. Sometimes it rubs me the wrong way, but ultimately he's sort of true to himself. But this one was different. He said, we need to change things. It's not working. He was excited for this chance. And guess what? He made the most of an opportunity. And at this point, what I would say after this game is, I don't care that Bobby McMahon's coming back and that line has been effective. I'm giving this some runway. I want to see Nylander play on this line, spread the talent out, and see if the Leafs can make this thing work. Because the other notable thing from this game was, if you're going to ask me who the best players were, John Tavares was absolutely one of them. He made a ton of plays tonight. And if Nick Robertson can bury one, that line is getting a lot of buzz. And by the way, Nick Robertson, fine game, but a couple of those opportunities you just have to put in the back of the net, because otherwise you're not going to get the runway on a second line. I don't know where they're going to put Bobby McMahon. I don't know if he's going to get, Robertson's spot, or whether or not they do just go back to the status quo and bump Nylander back up, which is, again, I hope they don't do that.
Well, the thing is like, you can always go back to Bobby McMahon on that line.
Totally.
Why not put Nylander there for a bit, see how it goes? If it falls off in a couple games, like, no one's upset if you're going back to Bobby McMahon on that line. But if you take Nylander off it right away, now you're just playing the, like, well, I guess we'll never know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but they've been criminal for that in the past, right? Like, this has always been the thing with the Leafs, is whenever they break up some of the star players, they do it for a game, they do it for 2, and then all of a sudden it's right back to the status quo.
I will say, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think there was a lot of speculation with Marner and Matthews during their time together, that a lot of that was at their sort of push, their request. Those guys wanted that. Marner was not a guy that was going to sit there and be like, okay, I'll just do whatever you want, coach. Like, he very much wanted to play with Matthews, and Matthews wanted to play with him. And that's all good and well until it costs you your season. So I don't think Nylander's that guy. So we'll see. I think if the coaching staff wants to keep him there, I think Nylander would. I think he'd be open to it. He's still going to get PP one time. He's going to get, his opportunities and his ice time. So why not?
Well, he did.
Josh was playing great. So he's going to get his opportunities for offense anyway.
So tonight, Nylander was second amongst forwards in ice time. he was only only about 13 seconds behind Austin Matthews.
There you go. So it's not even taking away his TOI. So who cares?
No, that's it. Is like they drew some power plays. Good for them. Good, like Leafs quality, drawing some penalties tonight. And Nylander, by the way, was directly responsible for drawing one of those power plays, I should say as well. The play where he sets up Nick Roy and they're desperate to create something. And it's like, okay, you can say third line, and obviously it is technically a demotion, and clearly you are going to be in the eye of the storm media-wise a little bit, right? Like people are going to talk about it. And year over year, that has been clear with the Maple Leafs is they do not like you talking about the things that are negative. They do a lot. No, they want to shelter their guys desperately, but they also, I do think Berube feels that Nylander can take it a little bit more, to your point of like, nothing really phases him, and he will, when the going gets tough, kind of snap out of it.
Yeah.
And he got ice.
Nylander can, like, this is what always gets me about these conversations about star players being moved around the lineup. And I've heard you and Verseek talk about this a ton and how good Chicago was at kind of moving guys around based on who was going and stuff. Nylander can start a game on the third line. And if it's a tight game in the third period and you need to load him up with someone else, like, hello, like, have people not been watching this sport for like 100%. Their whole lives? I don't like, there's always options. And the fact that putting Nylander on the third line actually worked tonight and they were effective and arguably one of the best offensive lines of the night. To me, it's like you want that throughout your lineup, especially against teams that are going to be deeper than San Jose.
Completely agree. So yeah, listen, this show has been, I would say, overwhelmingly positive for a game they lost, but that's the other feeling that I have from this game is, okay, you mentioned it. They're going to have to win a lot of games, right? Like, it's clear their room for error has changed based on the start to this season. It's not as drastic given the rest of the Atlantic in particular, where last I checked, the Leafs were one of only 3 teams with a positive goal differential. So yeah, it's a pretty bad division, but this was the first time where like they blew a game, but they played well throughout most of it, where I kind of went like, all right, like you play, like I'd rather have this, I guess, than they play poorly and win, but this felt fluky kind of the other way where, like I said, Klingberg throws one on net. I think the Leafs had opportunities to clear that puck at the very end of the game. There were a couple of chances where they could just get this thing out. There was one really nice play at the line. I think it was by Celebrini, but yeah, they like, I'm sorry. I just can't be overly upset about this one. They lost a point. I wish they got it, but the game overall from like, again, the power play, Nylander, Hildeby again, the defensive structure, Matthews
in overtime. Like I know he has that chance offensively that goes the other way and ends up in the game-winning goal. But like every time I see Matthews try to use his body, even when it doesn't work, like I'm happy because he's somebody that needs to use his size. And I want to see him try to drive the net or get around guys and use it to his advantage. So I'm not even mad at that.
Yeah. The only thing that I think is like the really big negative from this game is they lose Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Yeah. Who has been terrific this year. Truly, if you want to talk about like Leafs players start to finish of the season consistently good, there's a case that it's him. Like Tavares and OEL, I would say, are Toronto's most consistent 2 guys start to finish, and Tavares has had a little bit of a blip recently. But again, they did a good job with him.
They needed, like, if you were going to compare like Tavares and OEL, it's like they needed that consistent presence on the back end. Like they need someone like that back there. And now they just lose him. Like, that makes me nervous. I'm hoping it's not too bad. It doesn't look that bad there, but then seeing him carried off the ice wasn't good.
So you're right. The play does look kind of innocent, but Ekman-Larsson and I mean this in a nice way, he's a mean, nasty prick. And he's tough. So for him to kind of just lay there and not even try to test it and not even try to get up and then not put any weight on it as they're taking him off, that makes me feel like they're going to be missing him for a while, especially when you consider his age. And frankly, like he just offers things that they don't really have. Like, okay, so they lose Tanev. They lose Carlo. Stetcher steps in here, and he's a revelation.
Troy's boys.
Yeah, Troy's boys going nuts.
I saw Sam McKee posted a picture from the game of Stetcher.
So I'm trying to get Troy on my podcast this week. And
who's gonna? Has he been on Kipper and Bourne yet?
No, he's done. No, Leafs don't. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I forget this when I don't live there. You don't get.
Yeah,
Leafs.
like listen, this is one of the biggest things. And to be fair, I'm not really like tries to go out and get a lot of players on my pod guy anyway. But yeah, this is a guy where I put in the request and I'm very. I'm like, no, it's the opposite. Where like normally when they give it back and they're like, yeah, they're not available. I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. I don't care. This one I'm being like forceful about and going like, give me this guy on the pod. I need to talk to this fella about him. But yeah, like the Leafs, that was a miracle that they got for someone that could replace Tanev/Carlo in their lineup and kind of give them some balance. And so right when the blue line, right when the structure is starting to feel good, you lose OEL, who is your best offensive defenseman at this point. Like, I don't know if you want to say it's Riley. Like, sure, they're different, but like Oliver Ekman-Larsson's been piling up points this year and has looked really confident and has got power play one time. He is tough. He's mean. He plays with an edge. He's really important to this group. And yeah, if they lose him, the wins, that's the problem with the stacking of the injuries is you're already playing Thun. Or Thurn. I can't even remember how to say his name properly. They lost Dakota Mermis, and you're scraping and clawing to find NHL bodies right now. And like I said, I don't think he's not going to be okay.
No, and like we're probably going to get like day to day from the Leafs for like the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But like, do they make a move then? Do you think like this is where it's like, okay, this is like dire enough now that maybe you need to try to do something and get a defenseman?
They don't have anything to give.
Well, they need to get creative.
No, this is
there's a will, there's a way.
The creativity is going to be there's
no forward.
No, there's
that
nobody.
You would trade?
You watch this team. Like, who are they trading?
This team.
Yeah, but like, that's it. It's like, what? You're going to dangle Kelly Yarncroke? Someone's going to be like, yeah. Like, we couldn't even ship him to Brynus.
I heard you talking about that today.
Like, he couldn't go to Brynus.
I turned your show on at the gym and I was like, what the hell are we talking about right now?
I got tricked. I tried to read Swedish. I tried to read the Swedish. I just couldn't get it. I did my best, but no, apparently he's going to Brynus next year and he's not going right now.
Okay. Anyways. Well, then what are they going to do?
They're going to have to play Marlies. It's more Myers. It's more Thrun. It's Villeneuve or whatever Lucas throwing in there. Like Villeneuve. I don't know. Like, this is where it's time to text Nick Richard, who covers the Marlies, and go, hey, who's
the guy?
Also, though, who's playing for the Marlies now? Like,
I know. Just absolutely depleted down there.
Who do they got? That's a nightmare for the Marlies. Yeah, Topi and Roni, Luke says, which Sam would have loved that joke. But yeah, they are unbelievably thin. Like the poor Marlies trying to win games and doing it with like, they're gonna have to start doing contests where they call fans and say, show up. You want to play for the Toronto Marlies?
The social media team's about to explode with viral videos of them just getting guys from beer leagues to come play.
Yeah, like that's it. It's like, I hope the Oilers have another MVP that they're willing to just drop on waivers, because otherwise I think they're a little hooped here.
Honestly, the Leafs are going to have to pay attention to what's going on league wide, because honestly, like sometimes things slip through the cracks. So just on top of it. Although, like when does the holiday freeze start and all that nonsense? Even if they wanted to do something.
No, but not for, I think, a couple of maybe less than 2 weeks. But yeah, it's right around, like the Leafs play on the 23rd.
I'm doing that game.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's before then. Anyway, I got nothing else on this one. But yeah, overall, to me, if you're gonna lose, this is the way to lose. That's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, it's a positive loss in Leafs Nation.
Yeah,
people hate that. There are no moral victories. I can hear the tweets already.
I know. And there's going to be people who are like, and this is what they do. They can't close games. And it's like, all right, whatever.
There's also going to be people that are like, Jackie, I can't listen to you. Your voice is horrendous. So we do need to wrap this up.
I know. I will say too, I did so many games where I came on here and went, I don't know what to say. I hate this team and I hate watching this every single night. That a game like this where they actually like played reasonably well and good things happened. I already used up too much of my be mad energy, and that'll come if they actually start to fall apart.
Well, let me ask you this though. Yeah. The last thing before we go, I promise. Mm-hmm. Where is your level of belief, if you will, in this team at this point of the season? Good, we're 25 games in, something like that.
Honestly, you're putting me on the spot with this in terms of now the positive people who are like, good, JD is being positive tonight. Now you're like, oh, let me drag you right before we leave. Let me turn the people against you.
It gets the people going. So you might as well just do it.
I'm not watching the Leafs for playoffs anymore. Like, yes, do they need to get in to have a shot? Sure. But I'm still in a place where I got a lot of doubts about this team, and they're going to have to prove a lot for a pretty extended period of time where they keep playing like this consistently for another month before I would say my belief meter starts to ignore the beginning of this season completely and say things like, oh, well, maybe they're working in new bodies and Joshua wasn't confident and Roy had a lingering injury and the blue line was beat up. Like, They got a lot. They're gonna have to do a lot and play this way. I will say, like, this feels like a turning of the corner, and the season could have escaped them like very quickly. It was on the brink, and they did the Leafy thing of when you think they're done, they come back and show you something. So I am definitely believing more. I do believe in the goaltenders. Like, I think Woll is
big time,
like a superstar goalie. It's just a matter of if he can stay healthy. Hildeby is showing me enough right now where I'm like, and I'm not writing off Stolars just because they overplayed him at the beginning of the season. So, like, what team has better goaltending depth than the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I'd be hard pressed to find any, actually.
That's what I'm saying. So a lot of the playoffs about goaltending, they aren't healthy, and maybe some of their older guys having to sit out lots of the regular season can turn it around into playoffs. There's good things that are happening, but yeah, overall, you just can't throw out a sample like the beginning of the season because they played good for 2 weeks. Not with the trauma that is this fan base, and not with how little they've actually proven when the chips are down in the past. So
yeah,
it's a firm we'll see as of this moment. Jackie Redmond, we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for sticking it out and actually doing the show, even though you were sick and you absolutely could have pulled out of this one. You can subscribe to this podcast.
But hopefully you'll have me back, even though
of course we'll have you back. I like how you always say that, like, I don't have you on my show bi-weekly, like, and that you're on the show every year. Like, that we ask you all the time.
This is only my second Leafs talk, though, I think.
But whose fault is that?
Fuck.
Yeah. But whose fault is that?
You got me.
All right. We got to run. For JD Bunkis, for Jackie Redmond. We'll see you Saturday night with Sammy and I.